In the interest of time, we are moving on to a presentation that was co-authored by Eleonore Bernard and Tony Franz. And the subject of this presentation is a framework for systematic recording of media artworks and their generational changes at the Kunsthaus in Zurich. So Eleonore Bernard started as a project collaborator working for the Kunsthaus in Zurich first in 2017, and now is responsible for the entire media collection. She holds a Master of Arts from the Bern University in Conservation and Restoration of the Specialization of Modern Materials and Media. Toni Kranz has been working as a technician at the Kunsthaus Zurich since 2020 and is a specialist in the realization of audiovisual artworks. And he completed his training in film and video at the Merz Academy in Stuttgart. So the stage is yours. I turn it over to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our presentation about preserving media art at the Kunsthaus Zurich. My name is Eleonore Bernard, and I'm the media conservator at the Kunsthaus Zurich. And this is my colleague, Toni Kranz, who is the audio and video technician at the Kunsthaus Zurich. We feel very lucky to have the opportunity to present in this incredible event and following so many wonderful talks. So today we want to present you the new and improved framework for the systematic recording of generational changes in media artworks with dedicated equipment. The Kunsthaus Zurich has been building its media art collection since the late 1970s, when Ursula Perucchi, the head of the collection of prints and drawings at the time, began actively acquiring video artworks. Today, the Kunsthaus Zurich has the fourth largest media art collection in Switzerland, with a total of approximately 685 media artworks. These works include single and multi-channel videos, as well as software-based art and media installation with analog film, diapositives, and more. Here you can see 3 examples of media artworks taken from the collection. Let's take a look at how media preservation progressively established itself at the Kunsthaus Zurich. The first big step was the digitization project of the video collection in 1999. 10 years later, in 2010, an in-house media group was formed, marking the involvement of the conservation department, as well as the beginning of a close collaboration with an external video conservator. The consulting with Agathe Jacek contributed a lot to the professionalization of media preservation at the Kunsthaus Zurich, starting off with a new digitization project in 2014. The next generation of milestones came with the creation of a media workstation in 2017 and the setup of a digital repository in 2018. Since then, many guidelines have been established and implemented to improve our internal workflows. The last major milestone has been the relocation of the media collection to prepare for the opening of the new museum building in 2021. Since 2017, the increase in staff dedicated to the care of media art has had a direct impact on the steady progression of achieved milestones. Beginning with an internship in 2017 and followed by a student assistant position, the media conservator position was finally anchored as a permanent position in 2020. In the same year, Toni Kranz began working as the Kunsthaus Zurich's new audiovisual technician. For the first time, this permanent position was dedicated exclusively to handling audiovisual equipment, both for exhibition purposes and for collection care. Additionally, during the past 4 years, the research associate for video in the collection of prints and drawings has played a crucial role in cross-departmental collaborations. Unfortunately, this temporary position remains without replacement today, making daily operations considerably more difficult. Out of this highly dynamic synergy of people, a new media group was born in late 2020. This working group was the driving force behind the database enhancement, which we would like to present today. Last year, the opening of the new museum building came hand in hand with the dissolution of the external storages and a general redistribution of internal storages. In order to keep track of the 4,000 artworks during the different phases of the move, all the relocation coordination had to be done through the museum database. To save time, all individual objects were to be labeled with QR codes, requiring that all objects be registered in the database. Focusing only on the media collection, we were facing two big challenges: a lot of missing data sets and a multitude of storage sites, making it that much more pressing and urgent to have a complete inventory up to date with the current registration guidelines. At the beginning of last year, the big majority of media components was already registered in the database. So based on the established guidelines for media carriers, it was possible to harmonize the database records and get a clean QR code label export. Unfortunately, only a fraction of the individual components making up installations had been recorded so far, even though recording guidelines already existed. Looking at the dedicated equipment belonging to media installations was even worse. Until then, no equipment had been registered in the database, and instead it was managed only with the help of an Excel spreadsheet. The biggest issue for us being the lack of an internal concept or any form of guidelines. So to remedy this situation, we decided to establish a new recording structure for technical equipment. This framework was developed as a close collaboration between various departments: the conservation department, the technical service, the collection of prints and drawing, as well as the database specialists and the registrars. As a group, we decided against a separate platform and agreed to record all technical equipment in the database, but in a separate module reserved for technical equipment and accessories. In order to maintain a uniform recording structure for all media artworks, it was essential to build on the existing guidelines for installations and for media carriers. Another important point was to establish a clear difference between dedicated equipment, which is part of the artwork, and devices from the general AV pool, which can be used interchangeably for exhibition purposes. The database is absolutely essential for the accessibility of our collection. And as such, it is also the central management system for collection maintenance across all departments in the museum. So far, the recording of the media carriers in the database has provided us with highly useful tools for collection care, such as monitoring of obsolete formats, but also the documentation of digitization and migration processes. Due to the challenges of obsolescence, technical devices are inevitably subjected to change of status over time, just like media carriers. So to extend the dynamic functions of the database to the recording of dedicated equipment, we made it our goal to implement cross-linking functions and structural fields for technical metadata into the new technical module. This will make it possible to document generational changes and to make the maintenance of obsolete equipment through the database.
Thank you, Eleanor, for the first part of our presentation. Let's move on to a concrete artwork from the media art collection. The video installation, The Glass from Pippi Lottie-Rist, is a great example of an artwork with dedicated equipment which underwent a generational change in technology. In 1998, the artist integrated a plasma monitor into a wooden frame and tuned the color setting of the device in order to get a very specific color palette. After several years, the contrast and color values of the plasma monitor had become very weak. In 2015, the artist decided to make a technical upgrade and replace the plasma monitor with a HD LCD screen. In addition to that, the video content was no longer played from a DVD player, but instead from a media player. On the slide, you can see the 4 media carriers that are present in the collection. One DVD, dating back to 1998, making it the first DVD that entered the collection. One hard disk, one CF card, and one SD card. Both the DVD and the plasma monitor were at the cutting edge of technology in 1998, when the work comes into the collection. Even though these elements had to be replaced for technical reasons. It is important for us to record this first generation in our database as part of the artwork's biography and its art technological history. Mapping out the work, the class as a tree model looks like this. On the left, we started with the main dataset. From there, 4 work components can be abstracted. A video channel, a monitor, a wooden frame, and a media player. The video channel then branches out into 4 media components. The work component monitor branches out in 2 more sub-branches. First, the replaced plasma monitor, and second, the new LCD monitor. The same applies to the work component media player, which branches out to the replaced DVD player and the new media player. In the future, this framework will allow us to expand the work with additional datasets in any of the presented recording levels. And now let's switch to a few of our database. At the Kunsthaus Zurich, we work with the database Museum plus RIA from the company ZCOM. Here you can see how the artwork is recorded in the artwork module, and what you see is the main dataset. In the database Museum Plus, there is a pop-up overview of all the datasets that have been linked to an object, such as the work components, the technical equipment and services, the exhibition histories, the literature, and the conservation documents. Now we will show you how the new and improved technical module looks like. Using the search function, we can display all the objects that are linked to an artwork. Here, we are looking at the LCD monitor of the work, the glass. Through this drop-down list, we have the possibility to define the device type. This allows us to distinguish between dedicated equipment, historical equipment, and equipment for exhibition. The artwork references shows how we create connection between devices and artworks, but also with specific work components. Here, the LCD monitor is not only linked to the main dataset, but also to the work component monitor. In the same way, the broken plasma screen is also linked to the work component monitor. There's also the awesome possibility to link exhibition to the devices, which is a great way to record the exhibition history. Plus, it's automatically calculate the exhibition duration. With the next drop-down function, we can define 4 different status: active, broken device, spare part, and inactive. In case of the LCD monitor, the current status is active. In the next drop-down list, we can choose between 4 states that summarize the condition of the device: ready for use, broken, to be maintained, and replaced. Last but not least, the structured field for entering technical metadata allows us to systematically record data such as manufacturer, product number, serial number, and so on. All the drop-down elements are key for us to filter objects by type, status, condition, which is essential for collection care. The glass was just an example for a very well-documented artwork with a rather simple compositions. The next example shows how difficult it is to record a work with a much higher amount of individual objects. The work, Magnificent Obsession by the artist Brunner, consists of 22 work components, 70 media components, and 44 dedicated devices. This work was bought in 2011, but until recently, only the main dataset could be found in the database, along with an incomplete capture of the media components. Recording all of the 84 datasets cost us a huge amount of work, about 10 working days. The schematic representation of the work as a tree show how the complexity that we are dealing with. However, it was great to see that our new framework make it possible to map very complex work into our database and link the individual parts logically together with each other.
The new database module for technical equipment is a great step forward for us. We now have a conceptual framework for all elements of media installation, from the work components to the media carriers, and of course, the technical devices. The database allows us to document exhibition history, restoration interventions, and generational changes. Looking to the future, we still have a lot of work to do, starting with the actual implementation of this new concept for all the artworks with dedicated equipment. And now if we talk more about wish fulfillment, our next goal would be to integrate the iteration report into our database so that we can link it dynamically to artworks and exhibitions. And another project would be to implement something like a tree export. However, since we recently lost a lot of working power on our team, we've had to slow down our speed, and it's not clear when we can work on these next steps. Nevertheless, we are positive that the implementation will happen sooner or later. And on that final note, we would like to thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, we are happy to discuss them with you.